There are very many Souls-like right now that feel like they exist because someone asked, what if Dark Souls, but slightly different? Code Vein 2 doesn't feel like that, but that's because it seems genuinely confident in what it wants to be. After going through a lot of hands-on previews, early impressions, and extended play sessions, a clear picture is forming. It's not a game trying to compete directly with FromSoft. It's a game trying to carve out its own space within the genre. Despite the name, Code Vein 2 is not interested in testing your memory of the first game. This is a standalone story set in a familiar world, but built so new players can jump in without any homework. You play as a revenant hunter in a world collapsing under a catastrophe called the Resurgence, where vampiric beings called revenants are mutating into monstrous horrors. If that sounds dense, don't worry. The game is far more direct about its storytelling than most Souls-likes. This isn't cryptic item description and environmental riddles. This is cutscenes, dialogue, and character arcs very deliberately placed front and center. And that leads directly into the game's most interesting idea. Code Vein 2 is built around two distinct timelines, set 100 years apart. In the present, you hunt horrors, twisted monsters threatening what's left of the world. In the past, you meet them as people. Through a time travel mechanic enabled by your companion Lou, you jump back to moments before these characters were lost, fighting alongside them, learning their histories, and forming bonds that directly affect the present. And then, inevitably, you return to fight them. This does something quite unique. Boss fights aren't just mechanical challenges, they're emotional payoffs. You're not merely facing nameless monstrosities. You're facing people, someone you used to know, someone you've spoken to, someone who might remember who you are. And that framing gives Code Vein a tone that is genuinely rare within the genre. Mechanically, Code Vein 2 feels like a response to one of the biggest criticisms of the original. Combat is faster, heavier, and far more deliberate. Weapons finally have presence. Great swords hit like they should, hammers feel devastating. Faster weapons trade raw power for pressure and positioning, rather than just speed. There's a much stronger sense of recovery windows, commitments to animations, and punishment for sloppy play. It's not floaty and it's not forgiving. It's demanding, but in a way that feels intentional rather than stiff. And once you start layering in abilities, things get far more interesting. On paper, systems look quite familiar. Blood codes act as class archetypes, weapons scale off of stats, special abilities called Formé draw from a shared resource called Ica. But the longer you play, the more you realize this game isn't asking you to optimize a build, it's asking you to truly understand it. Every choice bleeds into another. Some blood codes reward aggression but punish overextension. Others offer power at the cost of stability. And some builds fail loudly. Others fail slowly, subtly, and cruelly. And then you also don't always die immediately. You just start losing stamina faster than expected. Your damage feels inconsistent. Your margins for error shrink without warning. And that's the trick. Code Vein 2 doesn't always tell you when your build is wrong. It lets the bosses do that. The partner system is Code Vein's most recognizable feature, and it's back, but smarter. You can summon a companion to fight alongside you, drawing aggro, dealing damage, and even reviving you once if things go wrong. Or you can assimilate them. Absorbing their power boosts your stats and abilities, but removes that safety net entirely. This is a difficulty modulation baked directly into the design. You're not selecting an easy or hard mode, you're deciding how much risk you're willing to carry, and Code Vein 2 will be balanced with that choice in mind. Make no mistake, Code Vein 2 is still very much a Souls-like. Bosses hit hard, status effects are brutal, second phases escalate aggressively, mistakes compound quickly. Multiple previews highlight the same thing. Early encounters lull you into confidence, then the game turns sharply. Bosses start demanding real pattern recognition, proper build synergy, and disciplined play. The partner revive gives you a second chance, not a free pass. If you don't learn the fight, the game will stop pretending. One of Code Vein 2's most quietly radical ideas is ranged combat that actually matters. Bayonets and rifles aren't gimmicks, they're a viable tool with real utility. Charge shots can stagger enemies, control spaces, or open fights on your terms. Ammo is limited, crafting matters, and positioning also matters. You can't cheese the entire game from range, but you can meaningfully shape encounters in ways most Souls-like simply don't allow. And that flexibility feeds straight back into the buildcraft. Structurally, Code Vein 2 expands outwards. There are large open zones connecting more traditional dungeon spaces with verticality, shortcuts, and optional paths. A motorcycle allows faster traversal between areas, though previews haven't shown much hands-on use yet. This is not Elden Ring, and it doesn't seem like it's trying to be. The question isn't scale, it's cohesion. How well these spaces connect, how meaningfully exploration feels, and whether traversal impacts that feeling of freedom. That is still one of my biggest open questions. Another issue that many critics have raised concern for is performance. Closed areas seem stable, dungeons seemingly run cleanly, and combat does feel responsive. Open zones, however, have shown occasional frame clips, especially during traversal. Nothing catastrophic, but enough to raise eyebrows this close to launch. For a game this demanding, performance stability isn't optional. It is foundational, it's fundamental. Here's where I land. Code Vein 2 seems to be a sequel that's built by a team that understood what worked, acknowledged what didn't, and refused to sand off its personality to chase mass appeal. It leans into character drama, it embraces mechanical depth, it allows flexibility without removing consequence. If performance holds and the world structure coheres, this could be one of the more quietly confident Soulslikes of the year. If it doesn't, it risks becoming another almost game in a crowded genre. Either way, this is one worth watching, because if Code Vein 2 works, it doesn't just succeed as a sequel, it expands what a Souls-like is allowed to be. Thanks for watching. I will be doing a 100% review of Code Vein 2 on the channel, so please subscribe and keep an eye out for that. Please give this video a like, share it with your friends. If I could get 10,000 views on any video again, I would be extremely grateful. But either way, I hope you stick around and I see you again soon. Stay nerdy.